The villagers begin to disappear one by one, and in their place, strange creatures pretending to be copies of them return. The village of Hollow Bend had always been a quiet place. Everyone knew each other, and strangers were rare. But one day, something changed. First, Matt, the farmer at the edge of the village, disappeared. No one worried. He often went away for a few days on his own business. But when he returned a week later, people noticed that something was wrong with him. Matt started saying strange things, as if he was confused about the names of his neighbors, even though he had known them since childhood. His wife tried to justify his behavior. He was tired and nervous. But the children did not want to approach him. "That's not Papa," they whispered, and their words made the blood run cold in their veins. Then old Henry and Mrs. Collins disappeared and, as if on schedule, returned a few days later. At first glance all was well, but their demeanor betrayed something alien. Henry, who had hardly moved before, now walked as if his body had become a stranger to him. Mrs. Collins stopped coming to church, though she used to spend every weekend there. The children were the first to notice that the returning people hardly blinked. Their smiles seemed strained, as if they had seen it done but never felt real joy. And then strange things began to happen. At night, there were sounds coming from the houses of the returnees, rustling, banging, as if someone was walking on four limbs. Several neighbors claimed to have seen Mrs. Collins standing outside at 3 in the morning, just staring at the houses without moving. Matt's wife disappeared next. She returned 2 days later, but her gaze was blank. Neighbors noticed that her voice sounded different, as if someone was trying to imitate her manner of speech. Matt's children ran off into the woods and never returned. Residents began locking doors and windows, but it didn't help. They still found a way in. Those who disappeared came back faster and faster, and each time they became easier to recognize. Joints moved unnaturally, skin seemed too taut, and voices sounded like someone repeating words from a textbook. When Tom, the local mailman, disappeared, I decided to run. I knew that if I stayed, it was only a matter of time. But before I left, I heard Tom come back. From the window, I saw his face turn toward me. He stared as if he knew I was watching. His mouth slowly stretched into an unnatural, predatory smile. The next morning, I was long gone from Hollow Bend. But here's the strange thing. Sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I feel someone's gaze on me. And one day, looking in the mirror, I noticed that my eyes were barely blinking.